All right, so remember, this is back in the summer of 2021 at his New Jersey golf club. And in the room along with him are two of his aides who he knows are recording everything he says, because during that time he was in the habit of having his staff record him anytime he talked to journalists, members of the media, or anyone working on a book. The other people in the room are two people working on an autobiography of former White House Chief of Staff Mark Meadows. And at the time, it appears that the former president is quite agitated about comments made by General Mark Milley regarding Trump's feelings of his desire to attack Iran. I'm going to let him take it from here. We can hear him in his own words what he had to say about that.
These are bad, sick people.
That was your coup, against you.
Well, it started right at the
like when Milley's talking about, we're going to try to do a coup. No, they were trying to do that before you even were sworn in. That's right. Trying to overthrow your election.
Well, with Milley, let me see that. I'll show you an example. He said that I wanted to attack Iran. Isn't it amazing? I have a big pile of papers. This thing just came up. Look. This was him. They presented me this. This is off the record, but they presented me this. This was him. This was the Defense Department and him. Wow. We looked at some. This was him. This wasn't done by me. This was him. All sorts of stuff. Pages long. Wait a minute. Let's see here.
Yeah.
I just found, isn't that amazing? This totally wins my case, Except it is like highly confidential, secret. There's a secret information. Look at this. You attack, and
Hillary would print that out all the time.
she'd send it to Anthony Weiner, the pervert. By the way, isn't that incredible?
Yeah.
I was just saying, because we were talking about it, and he said he wanted to attack Iran and what? These are the papers. This was done by the military, given to me. I think we can probably, right?
We'll have to see. Yeah, we'll have to try to
Declassify.
figure out
See, as president, I could have declassified it. Now I can't, but this is classified.
Now we have a problem.
Isn't that interesting?
Yeah.
It's so cool. I mean, it's so, look, we hear it, and you probably almost didn't believe me, but now you believe me.
No, I believe
It's incredible, right?
No,
Hey, bring some Cokes in, please.
Really remarkable there, the casual nature of that conversation where he's clearly claiming to be discussing some of the nation's most sensitive secrets. Now, in a statement tonight, the former president's spokesman said that this, in part, clarifies that the former president did nothing wrong.
Okay, Laura, I want to get your take on that. You hear the former president say, quote, these are the papers. He calls them, quote, highly confidential, secret information. So here's a question for you. Does special counsel Jack Smith need to prove that they really were what Trump was claiming they were?
Well, special counsel and the team is probably salivating a little bit at the fact that this audio tape, when you look at the written transcript, is so much more rich in this instance. It gives you the full context. It shows maybe the motivation in part, the idea of wanting to show off and somehow in his mind prove, it seems from the statements, you didn't believe me at first, now I bet you do. It's probably part of a greater contextual discussion about the reasons why he wanted to retain and ultimately reveal certain documents. But it does fatally undermine the claims that he's made in the past, including at a Fox town hall and other times, talking about the idea of these weren't actually paperwork assigned or associated with the Department of Defense. These were newspapers or magazine clippings. That negates that very wholeheartedly. But of course, if you're a special counsel, you're well aware of this audio, and you know that every person in that room with whom he was speaking, the voices you heard, the people who actually had the tapes, they are now all witnesses to this and can be called in front of a grand jury if they haven't already been, Allison, or they can actually testify about what specifically he was in fact holding. It gives greater color to the overarching claims, but remember, the bulk of these claims in this indictment relate to the conspiracy, the idea of obstruction as well. And so now this paints a clearer picture, but the conduct that is indicted happens primarily, according to the indictment, in South Florida.
Okay, so Paula, who are those other voices that we hear?
So we know Trump staffers, Liz Harrington, one of his spokespeople, and then also Margot Martin. Now, Margot Martin is a longtime aide, and that's significant because when she went into the grand jury, they played this recording for her. And that was actually how Trump's lawyers back in March of this year found out that this recording existed at all. Prior to that, they were unaware of this key piece of evidence. And also emphasize that there are multiple versions of this recording because the staffers were not the only ones recording. The autobiographers were also rolling on this meeting, so they had notes. Now, it's unclear exactly how the special counsel obtained the recording that was played in the grand jury, but it's notable March. That's when Trump's lawyers learned about this incriminating piece of evidence.
So, Laura, as you know, Donald Trump has claimed that he could declassify whatever he wanted, but on this tape, we hear him admitting he had not declassified those and cannot declassify them now that he's out of office. Is that a problem?
Yes, and the plot also thickens on that very notion. I mean, this idea that he was able to declassify with the waving of the wand was always legally ridiculous. And remember, this complaint, this actual criminal indictment, deals with the willful retention of documents that should have been returned as well. The Presidential Records Act does not play the most prominent role in these conversations, but the notion of classified material or defense-related information, as is defined in the Espionage Act, is center stage here. And so the knowledge that he does not have the power to declassify what is in front of him, the nature of the conversation surrounding General Milley, and of course the documents and the substance of it, also give further credence to the claims that these were documents that would fall under the category of defense-related information, which remember means things that would be close to the vest of the United States, that would be something that our allies would not want to have out, or those who wish to do us harm would love to have. And so think about all of that context of the evergreen nature of the material. We're not creating new defense plans and war plans every day, and they're mostly things that have already been decided, and of course they'll be renewed in some form or fashion. These are very sensitive materials, and so he's fatally undermined his own defense. I'll be curious to see what his lawyers ultimately articulate in the court of law. This will be the motion practice, Allison, we're all looking for. The pretrial motions, what comes in, what is excluded, and why.
Okay, thank you very much for explaining all of that to us, Laura and Paula. Let's bring in former U.S. Attorney Harry Litman. We also have CNN senior legal analyst Ellie Honig and John Miller, our chief law enforcement and intelligence analyst. Gentlemen, great to have you here. Okay, Ellie, your thoughts as you hear Donald Trump, his own words there.
There are tapes and then there are tapes. That is a really damaging, devastating tape because what it does is it allows the prosecutors to put the jury in the room, to hear what Donald Trump says, to hear him use these documents to make a point, to try to persuade someone, to hear him paging through to talk about classified, top secret. Even hear his aide at one point, who's, let's just say, obsequious, says, this is a problem. Now she's chuckling a little, but even his aide, who's telling Trump everything he wants to hear, has to acknowledge, oh, this is a bit of a problem. And as Laura just said, it undermines the core component of his defense, which is, I declassified. Here he's saying, I could have, but I didn't, and I can't now. So I don't even know what the defense is. Maybe this is a very smart table, so we've been kicking this around. How do you defend this? I don't really know.
There's no defense. There's never been a defense, but it's got two really significant aspects. One, just as Laura and Ellie says, it puts the lie to all he's been saying. Of course, he's had 12 different versions, but we've known all along, or at least we've known for a couple months, this tape was pivotal in the United States decision to seek a search warrant. There were people who were a little bit on the fence. This is the thing that actually persuaded them, and if you listen to it, you know why. He is asserting, true or not, a conversation from the chair of the Joint Chiefs of Staff about how we're going to attack Iran. That is radioactive. You can't even imagine sort of a higher level. So it was at that point that they had to go in. Another point, though, it seems as if, and this is what the indictment says, he's flirting with dissemination. Dissemination would be a whole nother crime under the Espionage Act, a whole nother level. We're talking, the Rosenberg.
But does that mean he has to actually hand it over to somebody? He's just, it appears that he's showing somebody.
The short answer is no, but they've got to know what it is. And that's why I suspect they haven't charged it. It's in there mainly for atmosphere to say, this is the kind of guy, this is what he would do. He is so indifferent to the national interest because this is the highest national interest. So paragraph 6 here is really put in there for sort of atmosphere rather than charging dissemination. We'll see if they have the goods to charge that down the line.
Okay, so John, they've laid out the legal case. Let's talk about the national security implications of this. How dangerous is it?
So it's extraordinarily dangerous, and it crosses over into the legal end also because it is pure to the charge, which is 18 USC 793, which is defense information. Doesn't matter if it's classified. When they made that law in 1917, there was no such thing as classified, but it's defense information that could be injurious to the security of the United States. When you have a hostile foreign power, let's take Iran, which apparently is the subject of this document, we understand, and you have a contingency plan. If we had to attack Iran, if there was a situation that came up and we had to put that into disseminating that information, not protecting that information, could actually undermine the entire attack plan. This goes back to World War II, loose lips sink ships. So I think it's a stunning example based on the charge that they chose.
So there's this moment in it, and we'll play it again. I think we have it, where the listener, one of the people, reacts to what they're seeing. Okay, so listen to this. Oh, okay. Basically, they say, "Wow."
Yeah, this is one of the
Now,
writers.
Is that a big deal?
Yeah,
Somebody
because,
says, "Wow."
one of the questions will be, is there an actual document there? What is Donald Trump actually showing? In an odd way, it doesn't matter because this indictment that we have before us, that we live with before us now, charges 31 specific documents. Whatever this document is not one of them. So you don't necessarily need to prove there was a document there in order to carry your charges. As Harry said, it's largely atmospheric, but a very important piece of atmosphere because this is the one time we really see, one of two times in the indictment, where Donald Trump is actually doing something. So what I think you'll see happening is people trying to piece together the clues. Okay, he's clearly showing them something, right?
Okay,
They're not.
Allie, you know,
Yeah.
because you've prosecuted these cases. When they get into court, they're going to play the tape, and the jury's going to be following along with the transcript, and then they're going to put on those witnesses.
Yeah.
And they're going to play it again,
Exactly right.
and they're going to say, "And when this was happening, what happened in the room?" He held up a piece of paper. What did you
What
see?
did you see?
I saw a red cover and the word secret on it. Did he peel back that first page? Did you see a document behind it? Did it also see secret? They will unfurl,
Yeah.
layer by layer, what they saw, what they were exposed to. Did they discuss giving it to? Yes, they did. They said, well, maybe we could declassify. So, I mean, all of that's going to come out. Transcript was damning. Tape brings it to life. Human witnesses bring it home.
And even that
And
one
the
word,
main
that one
person
word,
who
wow.
could, I'm sorry,
No.
the main person who could rebut it, Donald Trump, he won't testify.
Yeah.
So all of these things will be effectively unrebutted.
Okay, stand by, guys. We have many more questions for you.